marketing for artists in general, but you won't really miss too much from the last workshop if you weren't here going in that this can be a workshop all on its own. I don't always feel like the expert of social media because I have kind of a love-hate relationship with social media. I kind of feel like for businesses and for brands, it's a really, really good idea to have at least some form of social media because it helps with your presence online. You know, if someone Googles you, then you'll show up as Facebook has a really, really good job of making it show up first on Google or other search engines. And it just shows a little bit more, gives a little more credibility to you as an artist or creative, just your business. And it's really good to be able to reach out to people again and again and again on social media so that, you know, you're marketing to them over and over again. They really get a feel for who you are and they're more likely to buy from you. However, I'm really glad that I wasn't born 10 years earlier and that I didn't grow up with social media really. I didn't start it until I was 18 and that was fine with me. I get nervous about all these kids and stuff and what social media does to them and how, you know, the bullying doesn't stop at school anymore. It goes online all the time and you can't get away from it. And there's all these different things, not to mention people getting addicted to it, right? Just kind of not being able to tear themselves away from that and everybody feeling kind of lonely and more connected than ever and yet less connected than ever. And so, you know, like I said, it's kind of a love-hate relationship, but for a business standpoint, I think that social media can be extremely helpful with marketing as long as you use it right and really kind of respect the people that are on there with you and the people that are looking at your stuff and how they want to engage with you. So one of the best things about social media, like I said, is that you're going to reach out to them again and again. And they say something like, someone has to see you or your work maybe 7+ times in order to really remember it. And so social media is a great way to do that, and it's a great way to do that without spending a bunch of money, right? You don't have to do a TV ad for thousands of dollars that's going to have to run 35 times in order for people to really get it sunk into their brains. Instead, you can do social media and kind of organically build your own audience of people that are already interested in what you're doing, because that's why they liked your page, right? You already know that they're interested in what you're doing. And if you build that kind of organically, you can reach out to them for free or for as much or little money as you want, right? So most social media has paid advertising, and as many people know now, Facebook is changing their algorithms all the time. So how many of you have like a personal Facebook page? How many of you have a business Facebook page? Okay, so I suggest that you have the two separate pages because one of them you can specifically do all of your business marketing. And you can still add other things to it, but that way your personal page doesn't have to be bombarded with business stuff too unless you want it to be. Just add some stuff in there to remind people that you have this other page. You can do other, all of your information is over here. And that's part of what makes Facebook show up really well on Google and stuff too. That page, your business page, will show up and it'll be kind of more professional. FYI, if anyone has any questions throughout this whole thing, it's very open to just throw them out and keep kind of going from there. So your Facebook business page, that's where people don't friend you, they like it. And then you have, 1,200 fans or followers. And so it's very, very similar to your normal Facebook page in that you have the heading image, the cover image, you have your profile image, but then you can have a button on it that says shop now or learn more or things like that you can put on. And I have mine that says shop now and it goes straight to my website, the shop section of my website. People can put it to their Etsy shops, people can put it to their Amazon where their books are or whatever they have that is the best place to learn more or shop now, anything like that. Browse the selection, And so it just has more about that. You can add a little story about yourself, you can add videos and they'll have them on the top. You can even make a small shop on Facebook that has items. So I have some prints available on Facebook. I don't push it very much. I push my own website instead, but I do have that available for anyone who's on Facebook and just is like, oh, that's a cool looking print. I'm gonna buy it right here, right now. Makes it easier for people to do it that way. So it's just easier, and you can market to people, like I said, again and again. But the thing about Facebook in particular, like I said, with the algorithms, they're always changing, and it's harder and harder to get people to see what you're posting, especially on your business page, because they know that you're marketing to people. They know you're not just connecting with friends. They know that you are actively trying to market to people, so they're going to limit what you're doing. And part of it is because they want to make money by you boosting a post or creating an advertisement. So you can get around this a little bit, right? If you have really, really engaging content on your page, then more people are going to start liking it out of the people who do see it. And if more people comment and like your post, then more people will be able to see it. So it's especially helpful, anyone who's on Facebook, you guys are all on Facebook, but you know how you used to just be able to like or comment or share, and now you can react? You know, it's like a wow or the heart or the crying face, hopefully we don't usually get, and you know, things like that. There's a different, if you hover over the like button, it'll bring up, I think, 5 or 6 different options, and you can choose which one. And they've built the algorithm so that if you do something other than just the thumbs up like, it actually is better for you. So I always try to do, you know, a heart for someone else's work, because I know that it's going to boost their post a little bit more. And that way, more people will be able to see it. So the more people who react to it with more than just the like, and the more people who comment or share it, just means that more and more people are going to be able to see what you're posting, which is great. And if you get enough people to do that, it just kind of snowballs until it sort of rolls out, right? And so it's extremely helpful to have this content that's really, really engaging. But you know, how do you do that? What's considered engaging? We talked about in our last workshop how to market to your specific audience. And some of what we talked about was knowing who your audience is, right? So a lot of us think we know who our audience is. I talked about how I know someone who wrote a graphic novel and was for sure it was going to be to teenagers. Definitely a teenage audience. This is going to be teenagers. There's no doubt in his mind at all it's going to be teenagers. And it ended up being that the people who wanted to read that book were parents of teenagers. And so it was really close, you know, like it was a really close idea of what it was that his audience was going to be made up of, but it wasn't quite right. And so his marketing was a little bit off, because he was trying to market to teenagers when in reality he should have been marketing to the parents. And so thinking like that, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, all these different places that are considered social media platforms, is a really good way to see who your audience is. So the more people who actually hit like on your page, or follow you on Twitter, or subscribe to you on YouTube, or whatever social media platform you're doing, the more you can see who's really interested in this, who makes up your audience. And then again, it's not just going to be all those people, because not everyone there is going to buy it. Some people are going to be there just to look at stuff because they think it's cool, but they're not willing to actually spend money on what you're doing, right? And so then you can kind of look into how those people are reacting to it. Are they doing more than just the like button? Are they bringing more people in by sharing it? Are they talking about you to other people? Are they, commenting all the time? Like, those are the people that are the most engaged. Those are your people. That's your posse, right? That's your group. That's the people that you want to market to. And so keeping those people in mind, you can actually on social media go to their pages and kind of see what they like. What other pages do they like that are similar to yours? What other things do they like, interests that they have? And you can kind of gather some information about the people who like your work so far and see what things they have in common, right? A lot of people who like my page, I do colored pencil artwork of animals, and a lot of people who like my page on Facebook and stuff are also really interested in wildlife, conservation, the environment, things like that, things that I'm really interested in too. And part of my mission for my business, is to help bring awareness to endangered species And I commonly, I routinely donate to organizations and campaigns that work towards conservation of wildlife. And so people really appreciate when I do that and when I post about that, because they care about that too. And I know that's only some of the people in my audience, but it's a big chunk, and they're really appreciative of that fact. So on social media, another engaging thing is just anything that's visual. It's a lot easier for visual artists to be really visual, right? It's a little harder for writers to be as visual sometimes. But videos and photographs are they'll get much more engagement than anything else. If you do just a post that's just text, it's not going to get as much engagement as you would with adding any sort of photograph that relates to that text or a video. Videos tend to get the most engagement as long as they're not very long. Usually, 10 seconds to 2.5 minutes is a really good video length for things online. And now they've changed it so that there's advertisements that come up in like the middle of a video you're watching.
Annoying.
Which works against the person doing the video, because half the time you'll get to the point with the advertisement, you'll be trying to wait through the advertisement and go, I actually don't have a lot of time to be spending on social media today, I need to move on. And you'll just kind of keep scrolling down. So another thing about social media, especially Facebook, is that with videos, I find myself paying more attention to the ones that have really visual content, really engaging things, and subcaps, like
Subtitles.
what?
Subtitles?
Yeah, so that whenever someone's talking, it's being written around, right? And the reason is that my computer is almost always on silent. And so if I'm going to watch a video, I just start reading it to begin with to see if I have any interest. And then I'll go back and turn the sound on if I think I do. And I don't think I'm alone in that. And because they start silent. And you can turn the sound on if you're interested. And so again, it works against you as the marketer, but it's helpful for people trying to figure out if they're actually interested in what they're going to be watching. So anything that has the written subtitles would be helpful, I think, for if you're doing any sort of videos. It certainly makes an impact on when I watch videos. I talk about Facebook a lot because Facebook is the biggest social media platform. It's also the one I like the most. It's the first one I started out with, so I know it the best because I've been doing it the longest. I also do Twitter, a little bit of Pinterest, I do Instagram, I do YouTube, LinkedIn. Those are all social media platforms. I consider other things social media platforms too, like Etsy. Does anyone have an Etsy shop or considering having an Etsy shop? Nobody, that's unusual. It's a social media platform too. And most of the social media platforms now are also search engines. So if you go to YouTube, you're pretty much going there to search for something, right? It's social media because there's a bunch of people there, and you can all talk underneath different images and videos and relate to each other and subscribe to each other's channels. But it's also a really enormous search engine. So is Etsy. If you go there, you're going to be searching for some particular gift, right? On YouTube, you're going to be searching for how to market on social media, so whatever it is that you're searching. So it's not just a social media platform. Facebook can be the same way. I search for people all the time on Facebook, see who, if I met someone here, I can try to connect with them or something like that. You can do search for anything that's on there. And people do that all the time. So I like the fact that my business name has my name in it, because if people search me, they'll get me and my business, and that way they can go to my business page to like that, and I don't necessarily have to have 8,000 friends that have, that really are just interested in my artwork. I can send people to my business page. That being said, I still get like 100 friend requests a day, which sometimes is just a little ridiculous. So you have to kind of be aware of what you're doing on your personal page, because a lot of that can be public as well. With social media, everything that's on there no longer belongs to you. And you have to kind of keep that in mind. So if you're building up this really big Twitter account, if you're building up a really big Facebook page, an account of people, you get 10,000 people following you on one of these platforms, that's great. But if you don't have any of their actual contact information, Facebook could take that away from you at any second, and you wouldn't be able to reach out to those people really ever again, because you don't own any of that information. They could take down your page without any problem. They could take down your YouTube channel. They could take down, anything that you have put out there on someone else's platform, you don't own. So keep that in mind, because you want to, even if you have a big following, somehow funnel that into your own website as well, your own email list. Somehow get the information from those people so that you can reach out to them on your own, not through social media if you don't want to, and so that you can just have that information. So if anything were to happen by accident or on purpose, then you can still reach out to at least a number of those people. It's kind of scary how much we put out there now, and you have to keep in mind that on your personal page, you can set the privacy setting, right? You can set it so that only certain people can see what you're posting, only your friends, only friends of your friends. So you can limit the amount of people who see it, or you can make it public. And on your business page, you don't really have an option. It's public. That is a public page. So keep in mind, politically speaking, maybe you don't want to post too much about your political views on your own business page, or maybe you do. Maybe it's part of your business that's going to really give you more of a niche market because they know exactly where you stand. Otherwise, if you're selling something like artwork, where, let's face it, you're going to be selling to conservatives and liberals alike, right? Everybody tends to like artwork of some kind, and there's not a lot of discrepancy there, then you're going to want to maybe limit some of that so that you don't alienate potential customers who have other things in common with you. And again, that's a personal preference. You can do whatever you want. It's your business. Just remember that it's your reputation that you're building through this website. And anything you post could be brought back up later on, which is known by any famous person who's ever tweeted anything and then deleted it, and then it was still available for everybody to see. So, just keep kind of in mind all of these different little things that, you're building your reputation through this social media. It's one of the best ways, I think, to let people in your audience or just outside that you might be able to reach, friends of your audience, to know who you are and what it is you're about. I think one of the best things about marketing, especially as creatives, is that people are more likely to buy from you if they know who you are, if they know the stories behind what inspires you and what made you want to create the work that you do. So if you can constantly put out this engaging content that lets them know who you are, that lets them in kind of behind the scenes, they'll feel privileged to know that information. They're going to be interested in how you created a piece of work, or what music you're listening to while you're doing this or that, or what your studio looks like. Any of these different things that kind of lets them peek behind the curtain. Because, like I said in the last workshop, creatives are known as kind of these magical beings, right? Like, people don't quite understand how we do what we do. And it can work for us and it can work against us. Some people ask us, what's your real job? And some people think that we're just magical unicorn and don't understand how we create what we create. And so those are the people we're marketing to, but letting them see little glimpses of how we do what we do, it won't take away that impact, it'll just enhance it. Because even if you do a video showing them exactly how you do something, they're going to be amazed. They're not going to think, oh, I can do that now, so that's not nearly as cool. It's going to still be really interesting to them. They're still going to be intrigued. They're still going to wonder how you do it, even though you just showed them. They're going to still think that you're this incredible, creative person, because creativity is this thing that no one can really totally explain, and yet everybody craves and everybody's interested in. So it's just social media and email newsletters or regular newsletters anything where you can reach out to people again and again and again is, I think, the best way to let people know who you are and gain that trust that's necessary for them to want to buy your work and to talk about you to other people. Because they're only going to talk about you to other people if they found your content really engaging. And usually only if they've heard you speak more than once. Are we having a problem?
You just did something all of a sudden.
Did I do it?
Yeah, you do it. I did it.
Okay. Okay, water.
Problem solved.
So everyone has a handout, I should probably be looking at it more as I talk. So, social media, one of the interesting and hardest parts about it, I think, is that everybody's doing it. That makes it both the easiest type of marketing and the most difficult type of marketing. Because here you have platforms that have literally millions and billions of people using them, and you need to stand out, right? And it's one of these things where even though everyone's using it, and it seems like if everyone's using it, it should be really easy to do because we all use it for our personal pages, it's still a tricky thing to go from your personal page where you're just taking pictures of your cats and where you went to have lunch and your vacation, to going to a business page and having actual marketing for what it is you do and talking about what you do and trying to engage with those people who are following you about what you do and get them to actually do something. So lots of times you want to have that call to action that we talked about in the last workshop where you say, check out more on my website here with a link, or shop now with a link. We were talking before the workshop about how Instagram is great for visual artists in particular, I think, because it's extremely visual. You can post images on it and have your captions, and you can reach a ton of different people that you wouldn't reach otherwise. But one of the problems with Instagram is the fact that you can't put a live link underneath your image. So you have one live link in your bio, and then underneath each of your images, you have to either say, check out the link in my bio, or write a link, but they're going to have to copy and paste it in order to go see it. So I think this is a really, really big downfall, because anything marketing where the person has to do more than one step to get to where you want them to go, that call to action, it decreases your conversion level dramatically. People want things to be quick and easy, especially when they're on social media and doing these things, because they're kind of doing it at lunchtime, doing what they're not supposed to be doing it at work, right? And they're supposed to be paying attention to something else, and they have it kind of in the background, and they're doing it real quick, looking at their phone while they're waiting in the airport or doing something else. These are the times that people use social media, and so it's fast. Even though it ends up taking hours, it's fast. And so not having that link, I think, is a real problem, and I'm hoping, because Facebook now has taken over Instagram, that maybe they'll change that part of it. It's also, yeah.
How long did it take you to set up your Facebook business site when you sat down and said, okay, I gotta have a Facebook business site?
Not that long. Because then I did it very simply, and then I kept adding to it a little bit at a time. So the Facebook business site I was talking about before, you have your cover photo, and then you have your profile image, and then you have maybe a shop now button or a learn more button, and then you have a little story about yourself and your business, and then you can kind of leave some of this other stuff to as you go going, other than the about section, which should have your website and maybe how to email you or some way to contact you, something like that. Maybe generally where you live. I don't like to tell people exactly where I live for my business. I tend to attract. I don't give out my phone number really. I have had to change my phone number multiple times and have had a bunch of problems. It's unusual to have that, I've been told. So, but I always tell people that, be cautious with what information goes out there, because I personally have had a lot of problems with people.
Do
And
you get sales that you can trace back
oh yeah,
definitely to Facebook
absolutely.
business?
Yep. And so I have a shop section on my Facebook, which I don't really use much. I have it just more there to have it there if people want to do that. But I definitely have a number of people that will either say, I just saw this on Facebook, or I know because it's exactly what I posted on Facebook. And on my website, I have Google Analytics. And so I can go, how many people have a website in this room for your creative work? How many people have just like a portfolio site anywhere for their work? And then nobody has Etsy. So I have, on my website, you can hook up Google Analytics. It's pretty simple, and it'll show you where your traffic came from. And so I can see each day how many people came to my website, and I can see where they came from. And Facebook is always one of the top places. And then there's sometimes a randomly, just like a random site I've never heard of that happened to have done some sort of feature thing without me having any idea about it. And I go there and learn about it through that. But there's quite a few that come directly through Facebook. And Facebook is the one, like I said, that I promote the most. So there's a lot more coming from Facebook than, say, Twitter, because I don't do quite as much on Twitter. But I still can see that Twitter's filtering some people there too. Or, I don't know if I've ever, Instagram maybe doesn't show up as much. But Instagram is also harder to get people to go to a link. So Instagram, mostly people will message me through Instagram and ask me a question and then kind of negotiate a sale that way. So but there's definitely, one of the reasons Facebook is my favorite is because I see that conversion happening. But one of the ways that that direct messaging I was just talking about in Instagram, which you can do on Twitter, you can do on LinkedIn, you can do on Facebook, any of those sites, is really, really great because people can reach out to you without other people kind of wondering, and you can have these private conversations. Just keep in mind they're not really private because they're on this website that doesn't belong to you. But in general, they're private from the rest of the world that can see your sites. But the people who own Facebook can totally go in there and see that. So it's really great to have that option for people if they don't wanna, if they for some reason didn't see where your email address was or haven't gone to your website to learn that, they can just do it right there. Less steps, right? Like there's less steps that have to contact me with a quick question. And I get questions like, how much is a commission like this all the time? Or when's your next workshop? Or, how much is your book? Things like this. So it's really easy to do that. Another thing about social media is that you are in a relationship with your audience. And I talk about this in my second book. You need really good communication in any sort of relationship. And this is a relationship. And so good communication in a relationship goes both ways, right? You're not just sending stuff out to your audience. The nice thing about social media is it gives an option for your audience to send feedback back to you. Whether it's through private messaging or if it's through comments or sharing and adding their own post, whatever it is, it allows them to talk to you directly, which is kind of unheard of in a lot of other ways, other than if they wanted to go to your website, find your contact page, and then send you an email and then do all of that. This is an easy way for them to get to know you, ask you a really quick question, without feeling uncomfortable that they're doing that, right? It kind of takes away some of that anxiety or discomfort of reaching out and asking a question, oh, they're busy, I don't know if I want to do that. Social media, you're already there, it's already happening, especially with comments. And so sometimes you can take advantage of this and ask them a question. So if you want to learn more about your audience, like we were talking about before, like what their interests are, you should ask them. Not all the time, but every once in a while, throw out a question and say, which of my pieces is your favorite and why? Let me know what you think about this piece. How do you, what do you guys do in your off time? Like how do you spend your weekends? Who's doing what this weekend? Whatever it is that you want to learn about your audience, you can ask them and then get a conversation going in a thread on your site that you can then reply to them, and they'll feel privileged for the fact that you are taking the time, right, to learn about them, as well as just sending out information. And a lot of people for social media, it's really best not to, and I struggle with this, not to just put out your information, right? Sometimes I'll post things about, a baby turtle release on a beach or something, things that are not related to my artwork, but kind of related to my mission or artwork in general. Sometimes I'll post about other artists, right, that I like, or other colored pencil artists, because I'm like, hey, we need to get colored pencil known everywhere, that it can do this, And so it's good to add more than just check out this new thing, go here, buy this, and it just helps to gain that engaged following if you add more stuff. If it's like a lifestyle magazine kind of, you're gonna have your information that you want people to buy, but you're also gonna have random information that's just like cute things that are gonna be engaging in other ways, that just gets people back to your page and interested in what you're doing, and like, hey, I have that in common. I love cat videos too, But it's a way to get them more engaged, even if it's not about your specific artwork. Because then they're going to be on your page, and then your other posts about your artwork or creative product are there. And then they can keep going down, and then they might ask you a question about that, and then move on to, and it's just a gateway to kind of come and learn more about you. And to show that you're listening and you know what they like too, and that you're not all about yourself, you're about a bigger picture, especially if you have some sort of mission that goes along with your work or whatever that is.
When you communicate with somebody that you don't know with a question,
Yeah.
are you getting better at getting a sense whether there might be a sale, down the road or not?
Yeah, it's hard because some people will seem so fascinated and interested in what you're doing, and you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna turn into something. They're asking really specific questions, and they're really engaged, and they have, you say a price and they don't balk at it, right? And then sometimes those people still disappear, right? And they'll kind of go off the face of the planet, and you thought you got to the point right before the sale, right? And it didn't end up happening, which can be really frustrating because once you get to that point, you're kind of not counting on that sale, but you've kind of mentally put it in your pocket, and it's like, okay, if I get that, then I can do this for advertising, or I can buy this product, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so it's really frustrating for anybody to have that happen. And some people are going to ask you a question, you're going to answer it, and then that's it. There's not going to be any more after that. And then right away they weren't really that interested. But if people ask more than one question, if they come back afterwards, then I've learned how to engage them a little more again. So lots of times I'll answer their question, and then I will ask my own question. And that way they have to come back if they want to, if they're polite, to answer my question. And then it kind of starts a conversation going. And I can kind of keep directing it back to what they were talking about to begin with, whatever it is, like product or whatever it is. And I can keep bringing them, to the idea of, you can get this for this amount or whatever it is we're talking about. But if I can engage them with some sort of story, or if I can talk to them about specific behind-the-scenes stuff about whatever the product is, or answer their question in a way that isn't just the facts, then they're way more likely to come back and buy it. I found that most of the time, if I just answer, it's this much, how much is the commission? Well, it's a complicated question because different sizes, different mediums, different images that I'll be working from really creates a huge range from like $150 to unlimited kind of dollars for a commission. So I have to give them all this information, and then I say, send me a photo. Let me know what is it a dog? What are you, what is it that you're trying to do? And I can give you a more specific quote, and that would be really great. And I can tell you more specifically what this is. They send a photo, I go, oh my God, the dog's adorable. And like, what's the name? Is this your dog? Is it going to be a gift? This would be such a great gift, And so I kind of get them excited about whatever it is. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be a gift for my niece, and you know, it's just, they get really excited about it, and then they kind of stop thinking about the money part, and instead, like I talked about in the last workshop, you're recommending as opposed to selling, because you know what it is they're interested in, and you know by talking to them and having this conversation how they're thinking about this product or whatever it is that you're talking about. And so you can use that to kind of pull on their emotions or talk about the benefits that they're going to get from whatever it is by writing persuasively to them with those two things, emotions and benefits. And then they're more likely to say, yeah, okay, let's do this. Here's the photo. I want it to be this size and do this or whatever it is. So it's tricky because my ability to do that has gotten better. And so the conversion rates have gotten better, but it's also difficult. It's hard to tell how many of those people before that would have bought something if I was still good at it, if I was good at it back then.
Right.
It's hard to know exactly what's going on in people's minds, because lots of people will ask you a price and then be like, oh, never mind, which is fine, because if it's not for them, then that's fine. But it's a tricky thing, and I'm not sure there's any way to totally know for a fact if someone is honestly interested in what you're doing or if they just have a passing interest. But I always like to try to get those people on my newsletter too, and that way I can reach out to them again and again and kind of see if that putting it in front of them again and again sort of reminds them over and over, and then finally like, yeah, no, okay, I gotta have that. And it works sometimes, and sometimes they end up unsubscribing, but it's one of those things that if they're not engaged, I wouldn't want them on my list anyway, right? So.
How many hours a week is spent managing the management of social media? Are you like 2 hours a day or something?
No, it changes. So because I'm still chronically ill, it changes day to day what I can do and what I can't do. But I do spend some time most days on there, just kind of quickly doing something, updating with something. Sometimes I don't have a lot of artwork to post because, like right now, I haven't posted artwork for, I don't know, maybe a couple months because I've been working on commissions and I can't, they're holiday commissions, so I can't post about them until after the holiday. So here I am creating this artwork and I can't have my followers be engaged with it because they can't see it. And so it's difficult to kind of keep the engagement with the art if I haven't done that. So then sometimes I'll do like a Throwback Thursday kind of thing where I'm like, hey, a year ago I made this piece, or here's some other commissions I've done in the past. If you want a commission, you need to talk to me now because pretty soon I'm not going to have any time before the holidays to get them done, or different things. But sometimes I'll spend a couple hours on a day, and sometimes I'll spend a half hour. Sometimes I'll spend more time than I should because there's too many cat videos and other things that I get distracted by. Or I'm answering a bunch of questions, like they come in waves, right? It's kind of, I don't have a lot of questions and private messages for a while, and then all of a sudden I have 12, and I'm like answering them, they're commenting back, and I've got, 12 conversations going along the bottom of my page, and it ends up lasting me all day long because I'm commenting with them, which is still a good use of my time because some of those people are going to buy stuff, right, and talk about it to other people and things like that. So I never really feel like I'm wasting my time when I'm talking with a potential customer, even if it doesn't work out, because eventually they may come back. The fact that you had a full conversation with them means that they will remember that better, And so, maybe I got them to go onto my email list, maybe I got them to sign up for a workshop or something like that, but it really depends on the day and how engaged people are that day and what I have to post, and it can change. I'll think I'm going to spend 10 minutes on there and then it ends up being an hour.
Sure.
But there's also times that I think I'm going to spend an hour and it ends up being about 10 minutes and I'm done and I'm on to something else. But I always think that the more you can kind of limit it, the better, because you don't want to get sucked into that all the time. Because the more you get sucked into marketing in general, but especially social media and stuff where there's so many distractions, the harder it's going to be to actually create the work that you want people to see and to market it elsewhere. Because social media marketing, as great as it is not the the only thing that you should be doing for marketing. And I think people are sort of forgetting about in-person marketing, you know, and like offline marketing, networking stuff. I always carry business cards in my pocket all the time. And I mean, I was at a networking event the other night and I had to give a short speech, and it went really well, and people kept coming up to me afterwards, shaking my hand and saying, you know, thank you so much for what you said, blah, blah, blah. And every single time, I just took that business card right out of my pocket, you know? And then I asked them for one in return because nobody was remembering to give one to me, right? And so even though it was a networking event, hardly anybody was remembering the fact that they needed to network and really make connections that they would last. And so, and the more information, it's great if I hand out my business card. It's going to be, you know, I've handed out thousands and thousands of business cards. But the more that I can get other people's information, the more control I have, and I can reach back out to them and then kind of force them to remember the conversation and come back to it. Whereas with my business card, they might lose it, they might forget it in their pocket and wash it, right? Whatever it is, feel uncomfortable to reach back out for some reason. And whenever I reach back out, it just leaves that door open for them to come back to me. So social media is great, and I think it's the best way to keep talking to people and letting them see who you are as a creative entrepreneur. But it's not the only thing, which is why we do so many other workshops. Because this one is a huge one. It has to be its own workshop. I couldn't have added it into that art marketing workshop, right? Because there's just so much to it. And there are thousands of social media platforms. I mean, we talk about Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, but there's so many more. I mean, those are the best known ones, and those are the biggest ones with the most people on them, so the most potential clients. But there are thousands of them. I was shocked. I mean, there's thousands of them that I've never heard of, but also have millions of people, you know, so you can do research to see what's really going to be best for you. I like Facebook the best because it is the biggest, and I started with it. And I do suggest that if you're new to social media, then start with one. Don't try to do like 12 at once, because it's going to be super overwhelming. It's just not going to work. And so start with one, see how it goes, see how you feel with it, if you like it. If you don't like it, if you do it for a month and you hate it, then try a different one. Just don't, you know, if you hate it, then it's not going to come across well in your marketing there, I don't think. And social media is really, you got to keep up the engagement. And if you hate it, then I don't really suggest doing it. There are other ways to market to people. But if you like it, you know, or like it enough to do it, you know, kind of pop in daily just to see that you're not missing anything, or you know, if you have something to add, then do that. I would say quality over quantity. So if you're posting twice a day, that's great, and you're going to get more engagement, but it's also not going to be great if it's not really quality content, if it's not engaging, if it's not going to have people be interested, because they're going to start to kind of filter you out. So if you can only post a couple, 3 times a week, then because it's quality information that you're posting, you'll still get more engagement, and people will pay more attention to you because of the quality of what you're putting out there, as opposed to just, I don't have anything to say, so here, you know, that doesn't really work. You gotta think about what it is that your audience is gonna want from you. Are they gonna wanna know about what inspires you to do what you do? Are they gonna wanna know about how you began? Are they gonna wanna know about the materials you use in your products? Are they gonna wanna know about how long it takes you to do something? You know, whatever questions you get the most, don't forget to answer those, and every once in a while put those out into the social media world. Because those are the questions that people are going to want to know the most, right? That's why you get asked them all the time. I get asked about commissions. I get asked about how I started drawing. I get asked about how is that colored pencil, you know, and then how long does it take me to do something? These are all questions I get asked all the time. So I've written blog posts on them. I you know, update them. I talk about it on social media, things like this, and I always get a bunch of engagement. You know, the moment I knew I was an artist. And
I actually have a question about that.
Yeah.
Because I get asked the same stuff over and over.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with actually sort of kind of canned answers that you give the same
So,
At least a certain percentage of the time?
yeah. So I suggest doing that, actually. So especially for, I want to say mechanical questions, but my commission question is a long answer, right? If someone just says, how much is a commission? Which is typically what people say, and I'm just like, okay, well, here's the stuff you need to know about this, and it's like, it's gonna depend on these 5 factors, and this is what I ask of people, and I can't work on a deadline. It's in my contract, and you have to be okay with that. I can try to get it to you for Christmas, but you have to be okay with the fact that that may not happen. And if that's a deal breaker, like that's not, for me, that's just the way it is. And so, people have to pay half down up front. Deal breaker, it's non-refundable. And there's these things that I have in there. So I have that all written out, and I can copy and paste and then just tweak for that specific person. Take out stuff if they have mentioned I want it, and how much is a graphite commission. Take out the color pencil stuff, things like that all the time. I have them all. We'll talk about artist statements on October 25th. There's another workshop here. And it's not just for artists, just for visual artists. It's for any sort of creative, just talking about and writing about your creative work. But, I have my one-liner, I have my paragraph about me and my artist statement, and I have the full page. And I have them already done, and then I can just go to them, because I send out proposals and stuff all the time. And I need those all the time. And if the media reaches out to me, which happens quite a bit, then I need to send them that paragraph or the one-liner or whatever it is. And so I have those cookie cutter kind of things that I've already written up, and then I can just tweak them for whatever audience it is that's going to be doing it. So for certain things, yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of tweaking, right? Because it's going to have a very specific audience who's going to want to know specifically about X. Whereas your typical one might be about Y, and so you kind of have to tweak it for who you're talking to and what it is, but it's, I think it saves a lot of time to have certain things you get asked all the time pre-written, and then you can just tweak it, because otherwise, I would be writing these things over and over and over and over again. Multiple times a week, I would have to write my artist statement, I'd have to write about commissions and other things. So I highly suggest doing that. And then you can keep tweaking those too. As you get better, you're a writer, so you're probably pretty good at it, but as you get better at like talking about your work and doing other things, then you can go back and rewrite it and kind of, update it every year or whatever it is, however comfortable you feel doing that. Every time you do your business plan at the beginning of the year, update your artist statement and your resume for everything that's happened, So that's definitely stuff I suggest, but yeah.
Can I ask how many Facebook friends you have?
Friends or followers?
Followers, I guess. Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh, well.
I have no idea how many, so on my personal page, I have no idea how many friends there are, because it's been a little bit ridiculous lately. I think you're only allowed 5,000.
5,000 is what I heard.
5,000 is what I've heard. And I think for friends, I think I'm up, I don't even know what I'm up to, I have no idea. But for friend requests, I'm getting like 100 a day.
Whoa.
I only accept a very limited amount of that lately. So a lot of them, if they don't have more than like 10 friends in common, or I immediately recognize their name for something, right, then I don't accept them as a friend.
Right.
But it's, for my actual business page, right now I have like 1,300.
Okay.
So nothing crazy significant. It goes up a couple a week usually. Sometimes I'll post something where it'll go up by 10 or 12, and then some weeks I stay the same.
Okay.
And then, on Instagram and Twitter, I think it's like 1,000. So it's...
So how many years has it taken you to create that 13?
I've been in business for like 2.5 years.
Okay.
And so that's all of my business stuff, right? So that's when I registered as a business with the state and all of that, and kind of created all these different pages. And then I started with Facebook to kind of figure out what I was doing. And then only in the last year or so, maybe like the last 2 years started doing Instagram, but I've only kind of dabbled in Instagram and Twitter. LinkedIn, after you get to 500 LinkedIn connections, they say 500 plus. I think I'm at like 1,500 for LinkedIn, which is actually really high for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is especially good for business to business. So do people here have a LinkedIn account? Yeah. So a couple people. I like LinkedIn because I can reach out to galleries or nonprofits or conservation organizations or other places that are other businesses and talk to them about what I do. Every time I make a connection, I try to reach out to them with a quick, hey, thanks for connecting, here's what I do, check out my website, and that's it. And it kind of engages them more than just having a connection. I have a bunch of connections that are, at zoos and other things for LinkedIn, and I have some that are just like these random, I have no idea how they found me kind of, connections, and some of them you don't think are going to turn into anything, and some of them turn into really great opportunities. So it's amazing how many people will go to your LinkedIn thing and see your profile and see your kind of resume for what you've done. So every time I write a book and stuff like that, I add it to my LinkedIn page. I update it with the fact that I do speeches and stuff. I don't update it very often. I don't go on LinkedIn very often. I'm not super engaged on LinkedIn, but I do have a lot of connections, and when I do post something, you can post things similarly to Facebook, but they're not
going to get a commission, though. You're not going to get a sale. It sounds like you're going to make a connection with the business.
LinkedIn is more, if you do consulting, if you do workshops, if you do graphic design, would be a great thing for LinkedIn, right? Because then you can go to all these companies that might need your services. Something where you have like a service, it would be especially good for LinkedIn. And sometimes people go on there looking for, interior designers are on there looking for artists or, hotels or galleries or other things like that. Or, college professors are on there looking for people to come talk at conventions and or to their class or whatever it is. It's very more door opening kind of connections than it is, here's a sale I made because of LinkedIn.
So everyone I seem to talk to says to me, I'm a cartoonist, and they say, you gotta be on Instagram, you gotta be on Instagram, you gotta be on Instagram. That's all I hear from everybody who either thinks they know or they know, whatever. I don't know the difference. You don't do much with it. Can you give a short description of what the heck it is? I don't really know.
So Instagram, you can go to it on your computer or any device, but really it's a phone-heavy platform. So lots of people will take an image with their phone and then will tweak it. It's best if your image is a square. So a lot of my images either won't be square or will get cropped to a square to make it easier to fit the way that they do the news feed kind of section. And underneath, so you get your image, you're gonna post it to Instagram, and then underneath it you write a quick caption about what it is that you're posting.
Do you watermark your stuff?
Sometimes, yeah. I either make the image small enough where nobody can really do anything with it, 72 dots per inch for a resolution, and only maybe like 4 inches wide.
Okay.
So that if people wanted to try and steal it and print it off, then that wouldn't work. Or I add a watermark that says Karina Thurston Art right across, one of the sections of it, just lightly over it, so if someone tried to steal it, they wouldn't be able to do that very well. I do suggest one or both of those things. And then, so you write your description, and then you want to write, Instagram is also very hashtag heavy. So in order to get people to see what it is that you're posting about, you really want to use at least a handful of the hashtags that describe whatever it is that you're posting. So I would say, hashtag dolphin, hashtag ocean, hashtag colored pencil artwork, hashtag colored pencil, hashtag animal art, and you can use up to 30 hashtags on each image. I usually use almost up to 30 on each image, even though it's kind of annoying to keep doing that on my phone.
Right.
But it's the easiest way to reach more people and get more followers.
Because there's some person on the planet somewhere who is searching for something.
Right, so the
Is that what
hashtag
it
is, each hashtag becomes a link. So if I clicked on the hashtag dolphin, and just with my finger on my phone, it would bring me to any post that's been done that has that hashtag on it.
Oh,
So that's the whole idea behind hashtags. For Twitter, some on Facebook now, and Instagram especially. You can do them on LinkedIn and stuff now too.
I was gonna say on Instagram too, when you do them.
Yeah.
I don't have a phone connection, so I can use it on a laptop, I can use it
Yeah.
around. But when you put in the hashtag and you start to build it, you wanna go
It'll
slowly.
pop up,
And
yeah.
it'll tell you variations, like you might put dolphin, it might put saving, and it'll tell you how many people follow that.
Yeah,
Right
it'll say how many people have done that hashtag
Yeah.
in the past. So sometimes, like, hashtag art is gonna have millions of
But you can
of
pick the one with
things.
most people that,
Most people, or sometimes you might not wanna do that, because
Yeah.
if you have a million things,
no one's gonna find it.
right, so, because it's chronological. So if you hit the hashtag for dolphin, it's gonna be chronologically what people have posted with that hashtag. And so the point of hashtags is if people search that specific thing, whether on Twitter or Instagram or anything, then it'll pull up everything that everybody's done in that chronological order. And then that's how people kind of find what you do. They're gonna be looking up cats of Instagram and different, things, wildlife artwork, wildlife conservation, whatever it is. They're gonna be looking up these specific things and they're gonna find your work.
But they're finding a image. Seems to me if I made hand-forged nails, which is a thing, I went to the fairgrounds, it's a thing, then only people searching that are looking for exactly what I do. But when you get into cartoon or art or wildlife art,
Yeah.
it gets really watered down, I would think.
It gets watered down, but you're also going to be reaching a bigger audience. So it's one of those things where, again, really good images are going to be really, really helpful on Instagram, especially if you get like just a very quality image of what you do. Of course, your images are all quality of what you do anyway. But it's extremely, a lot of people will take an image of their piece of artwork and, they'll have it in the frame and kind of dark lit and blurry
okay,
and,
right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people are just going to scroll past anything that doesn't look really crisp and bright and interesting. And so, for any sort of marketing, really good images are going to make you stand out.
So I want people to put in chicken cartoons, because they have nothing better to do that day, and that's what I do. Seriously. So, they're going boom, 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 and they see a chicken in Norway with rolling luggage, right?
Yep.
And I want them to stop and go, whoa, what is this?
Yep.
It's chicken looking at a big fjord with rolling luggage. Then I want them to do what? How are they going to...
Then you want them to do two things. You want them to double click your image, which is going to give it a little heart. That's the number of likes that you
Oh,
have for
okay.
that. So if you're on Instagram, you're scrolling and you double click or there's a little heart button that you can click, that's how many people have liked it. And then you want them underneath your image with your little description, it has your handle, your name, and so that's clickable. Like they can click on that and go to your profile.
Will that be my website, or that will be my
No, that will be your profile for Instagram. And they'll bring them there, and they can follow you on there, and then start getting anything you post in their newsfeed. Again, it's somewhat chronological.
But can I say, when they go to my landing page, or what did you call it, my profile?
Profile, yeah.
Can I say, check in every once in a while to see the cartoon of the week? Can
You'll
I
get-
entice them to come back?
It's like Twitter. So you'll have your profile image, and then you'll have your name, and you'll have a really about section,
Okay.
and you can add your website. That is the
Oh.
only clickable link in Instagram. So it's the only link that goes outside of Instagram that can be clicked, is you get this one in your profile that people can go to your website if they're interested.
But that's important because that's really important.
Yeah, so that part is really important. You want to have that there. It's very visible at the top of the page. Everybody knows that that's where they can
Oh,
go
right.
to see it. And then it's right next to the follow button to follow you on Instagram, so they can get more info,
Oh.
get your stuff in their news feed anyway.
Right.
And then, the more you show up, the more they'll remember you and be interested. But that link on your profile is always there. And under each image that you post, you can always say at the bottom, don't forget to check out the link in my bio.
Ah.
Don't forget to check out the link in my profile page, whatever it is you want to do. It'll have that there all the time. And that, like I said, it's the only live link that can go outside of the program in all of it. I mean, we only get as much as, I post about my art jewelry, and I would really like to have a link underneath each image that says, buy here, And I can do that, but the link isn't going to be live. People are going to have to copy and paste it and go there.
Okay.
So it's very cumbersome.
But do they? Would somebody
Sometimes people
really?
do, and sometimes
Oh, yeah,
they don't.
yeah.
Sometimes I'll just say, go check out the shop section of my website. Website's in my bio.
Ah.
And that way it kind of sends people there. And it's interesting because you'll get lots of people who will like your image that won't end up following you, and yet they'll like multiple of your images, and you're just like, why are you not following me if you like all of my images, And
Okay.
I don't, sometimes in your thing you got to give that call to action and say, don't forget to follow me to see more, or whatever it is.
Okay. But the
it's-
reason I'm showing up in their feed is because they've liked some previous stuff of
It's
mine,
because
yours,
they hit the follow, they saw something of yours through a hashtag or something, and clicked on your name, and then they followed you. They hit the follow button. And if they're following you, anything that you post will start coming up. It's like Facebook. Anything you post, because we're friends, will start coming up in their feed.
Right. But you
So-
said some people will like a lot of your stuff but won't.
We'll end up
follow.
following you,
I
and
have a
so
theory about that.
sometimes they'll just go through your profile, like a bunch of stuff, and then either forget to follow you or, go back to.
I think it's because it seems like in some ways it's sort of a popularity contest, so people are very concerned about having more people following them than they follow.
Mm.
And if that would throw off that balance, then they're just gonna hold back, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, that could be
Well, who
true.
needs those people?
I was gonna say, I'm not one of those people, but it's very possible, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things like that, and I don't pay attention.
You should. Don't let that affect you
But it's,
whatsoever. It's not gonna
it's one of those things where
Okay.
you never really know what the thought process is behind someone who's just hitting something behind behind
Right.
an image. It's really hard to tell.
But it seems like that's a great way to build over time thousands of people that think chickens with rolling luggage are funny, right?
Yeah, the hardest
Isn't that-
part I think for you would be not as many people are going to realize that they want to search for chicken art, right?
Right,
I think they're not
right.
going to realize that that's what they want to search for until they've seen it and they've already been kind of exposed to it.
Yeah.
But so that's where the other hashtags like, cartoonist, hashtag cartoonist,
Okay.
hashtag chickens, hashtag cartoon art. Some of these other ones that are specific to what you do, but also more broad, you can kind of start to get some of those other people in to show them that they will be interested in what you do, right? Because lots of times people don't realize they're going to want to look up colored pencil,
Right,
Because
right.
they'll think that they're going to see a third grader kind of sketch. But once they start seeing colored pencil, like I always add colored pencil because I want anyone who's looking it up to see it, right? And to see what it can do. But it's one of those things where sometimes people aren't going to realize that that's what they want to look up. So, hashtag wildlife art or even hashtag painting, even though technically it's not a painting. It's
Right.
close enough, right? And some people are going to think it is. And so it's enough to kind of gain people's interest. I'm not, saying hashtag spider or something. Like it's still kind of gaining the right people.
Right.
But you kind of have to figure out what it is, and you can test it on different ones, you know. Do a few different hashtags on different pieces
And
to
then you
see
can
what
see.
happens.
So, but for your 2.5 years old, you haven't at this point so far really feel that Instagram is worth more of your time? I mean, you just don't see it as a...
I like Instagram in a lot of ways. Not having a live link, I think, is a huge drawback because people don't want to do more than one step. And
Okay.
so when I'm selling something, like a necklace, and I have this great image of this necklace, and you know, just hundreds of people are liking this
Yeah.
thing, it's still not necessarily going to make a sale because then they have to go to my profile, and then they have to go to my website, and then they have to go to the shop section. By that point,
Oh, right. it's more
99% of the
clicks away.
people are going to be like, you know what, I got distracted by something else. We all have 19
And they
tabs
don't know what
open.
the price is yet.
Right, and
Yeah.
so lots of times I'll try to post that underneath, check it out here for $25, you know, or whatever it is. I try to give, so the people who I know are going to be the most interested will go there, but it's hard to do. And like I'll do, you know, hashtag handmade, or, you know, certain things that may draw other people in that, you know, you don't necessarily think about because, you know, Etsy, I mean, it's handmade. Like that's what really draws people there. It's different things like that. But it's hard to figure out which pieces, you know, which hashtags are going to be the best to use. And when you have a chunk of hashtags, it's hard to tell on the ones that you do get a lot of engagement,
What it was.
which one or which ones were the ones that really brought those people there. You know, I did an image of, I think I have I showed it to you guys last time. It was just a postcard of something. I did an image of this postcard on Instagram, and this was for an opening reception last year. And literally, it was a picture of this, and I don't really know why, but something about this got way more likes and stuff than some of my other posts. And we're talking immediately, like all of a sudden I had 75 likes within 5 minutes, and I was like, what is happening? You know, and like, how is this getting more than like the almost finished elephant drawing that I just, you know,
Right,
it's just like,
right.
what is happening? And I never really figured it out, right? Other than the fact that I was able to say, you know, multiple different types of animals, rather than just one type of animal that someone might be clicking on. But I don't, you know, I don't really know what the difference was. And that's the thing I don't really like about Instagram too, is that it's hard to tell exactly like the analytics of what.
Do you think the day of the week or the time affects
So-
that?
That's a really good question. And it's on your handout on one of the pages here, but it's a question I always get for social media. And I had this question too. And so I did a bunch of research one day, and I went through and I was like, okay, what is the best time to post on each different site that I'm a part of, right? Because it's just one of those things that you know, it's gonna, you know, there's some, people tend to have specific times that they do these things. So I went to this website and I found, you know, they had this amazing chart where they had all this data, and it was, you know, Facebook is Wednesdays from 1 to 3, and you know, and it had all these different things, and like super specific. So I'm like scribbling all this information down, going, this is amazing. And then, being the good researcher that I am, I didn't take just one site's information, right? I went and I kept looking up a bunch of other sites, and I was like, huh. This person says the exact opposite of that person. And this
But
person says different than that
In
person.
their SEO, they could say, when is the best time
Yeah.
to dig? So they could
So
claim
for-
to have the answer.
For their stuff, they might have
Yeah.
different things for their Twitter, but all of them were not just a little bit different, drastically different. And so I came to the conclusion that nobody really has this information, and if they do, it's been buried by a bunch of misinformation. But I thought about when I am usually on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these things. Like I said, people are at the airport. People are looking before they go to work, right? Some people are looking at work. Lunch is a big thing, I would think, you know, right before you go home after work or right after you get home. There's specific times where people tend to have natural sort of breaks in their day that they start to do, I'll just take a quick, I only have 10 minutes, let me just click through. And I would say kind of focus on those things. But then it gets even trickier because, like we were talking about with Instagram especially, I have followers in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
I have followers in the UK. I have followers all over the place where it's like, all right, well, if I post at 2 p.m. here, it's, it's not really going to be the same there anyway. So lots of times I like to post in the morning or midday because for the people around me, those are the highest, I think, engagement times. And the nice thing about that is that if I post something in the morning and then it starts getting engagement, I can go back throughout the day real quick and just write quick notes back to them. I don't have it go all night long without me saying anything in return. And that way I can keep the engagement going. Because if someone comments, like I said with the algorithm, if someone comments on your image or your post, and then you reply, it's gonna be seen by more people after that because it's got more engagement. So anything where you can up your engagement too by adding comments.
So you're also saying that when you comment, you should use a heart instead of a thumbs up?
Right, because lots of times the thumbs up
I mean, if it's appropriate.
doesn't do much. Yeah, it doesn't do much for the algorithm. It's more
Really?
the heart. So yeah, that now they have the reactions, and the typical reaction is the thumbs up, and it won't make it be seen to a lot of other people unless someone takes the time to go and do a different reaction. The heart, the wow, the crying face, any of those. If you hover over the thumbs up, it is, it has those little images, and then it just helps that. And then a comment will help even more because Facebook is recognizing that someone's taken the time to actually comment on your thing. And shares will obviously do it even more because one, it'll be seen by their group, and two, Facebook realizes you're doing something really engaging where someone's actually sharing it on their own page, and so they'll show it to other people too. Because it only starts being seen by like 20 people, right? But if you can get some of those 20 people to comment and like and share and be engaged, then it'll show up to a bunch of other people. It'll keep adding more people on your list. It should show up to all 1,300 or whatever, people who have liked your page, but it doesn't. It starts out with a cluster and then kind of filters through from there. You can also boost a post, we talked about a little bit, and do the advertising. I would suggest if you do that, start really small, because if you don't know your audience really, really, really well, then you're not going to be sure who you're going to be posting to, and you might just have an ad that goes out to people who won't do anything, right? And so with the advertising, it is really nice that you can target your audience. So they'll give you an option as you're making your advertisement to do the image and do the little caption and have a button that says shop now or learn more. And then you also have the section where it says, build your audience, where you can say women aged 35 to 55 in Burlington, Vermont, who also like art. Their interests are art and animals. Like you can be really, really specific. And sometimes they're going to say, this is too specific. And sometimes they're going to say, this is too broad. They're going to try and help you out by they have a little meter at the bottom that's red or green or yellow. And they'll tell you, like, this is good. You got 3 million people you could potentially do. This is a good amount. Here, and they'll send it out.
What's happened? Have you done that?
Yeah, I've done it a few times, and some of the times have not turned out really very well. And sometimes I've had a lot of engagement, and it really depended on how well I knew my audience that I was reaching out to. So I did it for my first book, right? And that audience is much easier to know, right? It's creative entrepreneurs who are trying to build their business with limited time or energy. Very specific. And I knew that my highest engagement typically was from women age 30 to 75. And so I targeted them. And I did United States, and I did, just all these different things to kind of narrow it down. And they had to be interested in art, they had to be interested in business, they had to be, all these different little things that made them interested in, and sent it out to them, and I got a really great response. But when I do some of my wildlife artwork and stuff, especially in the beginning when I really didn't know my audience, it was a lot more difficult to see any sort of, like I would get clicks and stuff, but I wouldn't get any sales.
Right.
I would get engagement in some respects, right? But it wouldn't convert people to being actual buyers. And that's what you want with advertising. Isn't so much, you want some of it is exposure. You want more people to like your page so that they can start seeing things more and more. But some of it, you want them to buy whatever it is that you're posting. And so if you start small, like I started with $5 just to see over like a 3-day period to see what would happen. $5 and then I did $10 and then I kind of worked out from there to see how things would go.
That was how to build your art business?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll be doing another one pretty soon for the how to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
I was
Because that
told
one
with
just came out.
Facebook too, if you spend, like, I keep getting things for $3. Sometimes I'll do $3 and $5, but once you start going up, Facebook realizes you're willing to spend more.
It's true.
And they don't offer you the $3, because I haven't done it in a while, and notice I just got a $3.
Yeah, sometimes they'll offer you like a credit or something
Yeah,
like that. LinkedIn will do it too.
so because I know a lot of authors spend a lot of money, like $50 a day to do it.
Exactly. I mean, I know someone who spends $500 a day.
Yeah.
A day.
But do they get back 600?
But they get back more than 600
All right.
because
There you go.
they have a their business is consulting, which is one of the best things to do for that type of marketing because you can market specifically to the people that you consult for. And so if I were to do an advertisement for my own business consulting that I do, people come, pay me by the hour, and it's $35 an hour, and it's you just come with your questions about your creative business, right? Or sometimes nonprofits and stuff. We sit down for a couple hours and hash it out. I ask you a bunch of questions, we get going and try to figure out how to move your business forward and prioritize what is the best for you, right? And so if I did, and I haven't yet, if I did marketing like that on Facebook, I bet my engagement would be a lot better because I know exactly who I'm marketing to. I'm marketing to people who are creatives, not just interested in art, but are actually creative entrepreneurs. People who are interested in entrepreneurship, people who do all these different things, and I would want to narrow it down to the people who are within like a 50-mile radius of me for ease of trying to figure that out. I could do it through video, right? I mean, that's fine. But for now, that's what I would want to do, and it would narrow it down, and I'd really start getting some engagement with some of these local people. And so, I mean, this person, $500 a day, she does webinars all the time, and lots of times her webinar is what she's promoting, and then through the webinar, she gets a bunch of people to sign up for her online courses. Her online courses are like $1,000, And so, and she does a bunch of them, and once you make an online course, which is great, I have not done one yet, but once you do that, it's kind of passive income for the most part because it's already done, it's there, it's packaged, and then you can filter people into it, right? And as the more people do that, you don't necessarily have to do anything else other than keep engaging them and answering their questions and that kind of stuff. But she does it through social media, which is kind of amazing, right? I mean, yeah, it's $500 a day. I don't know if I ever really want to spend $500 a day on any sort of advertising, especially social media. It makes me feel like anxiety just thinking about it, Like, how do you make that leap? Like, what's the line where you're like, okay, I'm gonna spend...
Well, I think you have to figure out
But
your audience, which is
it's-
my problem. So I
it's-
don't
yeah.
know whether you spend a little amount to figure out what your audience is.
So, and it depends on your budget for sure, too. So, I started out with a really non-existent budget, right? And so, it was something that $5, even the $5, I was like, okay, like, here, I'm just gonna do it, and then most people are like, it's $5. But it was gonna be $5 more than once, right? I knew that first one wasn't gonna happen right away, that I was gonna have to tweak things and figure things out. And at that point, $5 was a huge amount. And so, especially with being chronically ill and medicines and, all these different things. And so, yeah, you gotta figure out, and like I said, I started using who it was that liked my page and what they liked and stuff to really kind of figure out who my real ideal audience was. And social media is really good for that, especially the people who are going to comment and share. I mean, those are the people that are really, those are your real audience. And then, you know, obviously anyone who actually buys from you and you know that, if they go to your website and make a sale, or if they contact you and say, I just bought your book off Amazon and read it and it was amazing, you know, you can kind of connect with them and see what it is that they're like and how they're spending their money on other stuff, you know, because lots of people go like, hey, I just bought this, you know, new TV, or I just, you know, whatever it is, and you can kind of learn about those people and then filter towards them and then keep tweaking it and just see what happens. Like I said, my audience is really different for my books versus the people who like my artwork versus the people who like my artwork jewelry versus any of these other products that I make. You know, mouse pads, keychains, greeting cards, like they're all a little bit different, right? And so to have, I wouldn't be able to market really easily to everybody at once with any of these different products. I have to kind of tailor each marketing to different people. So lots of times with greeting cards, it tends to be people, women mostly like the greeting cards, and it tends to be women over the age of like 50. And that seems to be the people who are going to buy my greeting cards the most. Unless it's graduation season, right? And they need blank thank you cards or something like that for people who are just graduating, which you might not necessarily think of right away, or, you know, but it's Mother's Day, different things that can change your audience for a short amount of time. You know, and you can sort of think outside the box about what would be best for this upcoming holiday? What would be best for that? Could I tweak this a little bit to kind of change the audience, like the packaging or anything like that? What is it that can sort of change who it is that I'm going to, or what can I change that will market to these people even better, you know? And so it's a challenge to figure that out. But the more people who buy your work, the more people that you have for data, and I really like I said, the Google Analytics on my website is really helpful for seeing at least who's coming to it and where they're coming from. Because then I can go to those websites and be like, what is this? How do, you know, where do they come from? Why are they on this other site?
About how many people come per day or per week or per month? Because I know you've got an average out with a little ups and downs. How busy is your site?
It ranges from about 10 people a day to 300 a day.
Okay.
And it like you said, it goes well up and down between those areas for me at this point. Lots of times the days that it goes up are they correlate directly to either a promotion I did on Facebook or a blog post that I just posted on my website. New content brings in people, and the blog post is really great, which is also kind of a social media marketing thing. I wasn't sure I wanted to do a blog post, you know, to have a blog, because I knew I wouldn't be really consistent. But anytime that I do one and then I post about it on Facebook, people filter in. And it helps when you have new content on your website like that. It helps you in the Google Analytics and advertising and stuff as well, because any sort of new content brings you back up to that first page. And you can use tag words and things like that. So keywords, you know, any of those things. And so whenever I do a blog post, it jumps. Whenever I have good, you know, publicity, like when WCAX featured me a couple years ago, it was the highest I had, you know.
Right.
It was far beyond what was normally was, right, for like 3 days, and then it kind of filtered back down. But it directly correlates to these things where it's the marketing, right? And publicity, media and stuff, this sort of free marketing is some of the best you can do, because you're reaching out to audiences that you wouldn't normally get to, right? So if you get a newspaper or something to write about you, it's free for you, and it can be huge. I mean, you can reach people that you would not, otherwise they wouldn't have any idea you existed, right? And I've gotten some of my biggest commissions from media and stuff like that, and then they find me on Facebook. You know, they come to me on social media to check me out, and once they Google me and ask me questions, you know, so sometimes social media isn't even the direct cause, it's just how they're gonna get in touch with you, or how they're gonna find you and look at some of your other work and look at some of your other stuff and see what you're really about. Because there's just, if you keep posting, you're gonna have all of this information about you, right? And about your work and about your business. And it's gonna be a huge place for people to come and see what you're about and see if they agree with you and see if they like what you do, other than just this one thing that they saw, right? And then they can reach out to you and move from there. But it's been, yeah, my website, like you said, it goes up and down a lot, those analytics.
And then you look at the analytics and you say, 3 people got here from this and 10 people got here from that,
yeah.
and then I have a whole bunch of oneers, like
And
random.
you can also see how many people went to the homepage and then left from there. And you can see how many people went to different pages and what pages they went to.
Okay,
So you can see the flow of how people have done that, which can be really helpful because you're like, okay, what? People are going to the homepage a lot, but if they're, jumping back off after that, something about the homepage isn't engaging enough
right.
to get them to go to the next level.
So I built a website in a few hours, about a week ago. Will Google Analytics be tracking that, or is it through GoDaddy?
You have
I just did it.
you can just Google Analytics, and
Oh, okay.
you can, it'll show you how to add it to your website, and then you
Oh, do you
can.
pay for that?
I don't pay for that. It's a service that you can get.
Huh,
I don't think I pay for it unless it's in my fees with my website, but I don't think it is.
okay.
And you can just go and see that and see how to add it, and they'll just track stuff.
Oh, good.
I have it on, it automatically did it for a couple of my other sites as well, like Redbubble and some other stuff that I never ever use. It already had that for me, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know, this was here. Like I didn't know it existed, but you can add it to your website, and then you just log in and check out what it's seeing.
Okay.
And just, you can do it in real time, so you can see how many people are on there at that specific time, or you can do active users throughout a certain period of time, whether it's a day or the whole time you've had your website, whatever it is that you want to look at.
Okay.
There's a lot of information though, and again, it's like, it can be a time suck.
Yeah,
You're just
yeah.
like looking at all these different things and get sort of caught up in where everyone came from and all of that.
Do hashtags actually work in blog posts, like on your own blog?
I've never used them.
I don't. I sometimes have, but I don't know
They
if they
might
work.
work on sites like medium.com or other things like that where they have created
I just have a Google blog.
yeah, so, I think they have to be on a site that has that ability, like a social media site, because then they're gonna format and have a collector for all of these different hashtags. I don't know that on your own blog if that would,
I've seen people do it, but I hate the way it looks if you're not.
I don't like,
it's not really good.
visually I don't really like hashtags. I like the fact that they're there because they can be really helpful, but visually, especially on Instagram, it's like this block.
Yeah.
I try to take it away. I do some returns, down so that my block of hashtags is a little bit away from my description of my image, so that it's not quite as
Okay.
and they're all highlighted blue. You know that they're a link that you can click because they're highlighted like that.
But they're all gonna take the person away from you, right?
They're gonna take, or to you if they clicked on someone else's image, with
Sure,
that
but if
hashtag.
they're on your site, looking at your
They can take it
fabulous
somewhere
work,
else, yeah.
and then boom, then they're gone, they're sort of gone for good
Unless they see more of your work underneath that hashtag. That's why.
what are the odds of that?
That's why sometimes like hashtag art is going to be millions of things that you don't want to get. But if they did hashtag chicken cartoon, or things like that are really specifically yours, then that might kind of change, and you might be more of what shows
Right.
up.
What I want to do is, I like chicken cartoon because we sort of think we know what that is,
Yeah.
even though mine's kind of unique, I guess. But I want to also be promoting the single word hen art. So hen art, chicken cartoons.
Yep.
And I would think I could track my audience if they were attracted to hen art, if that could work. I've just been musing about that.
Yeah, I would, anything sometimes I do hashtag Karina Thurston.
Okay, right.
Because sometimes I mean, not that anyone else really uses that at this point.
Right.
But if people do, if you get to the point, and you're gonna have all these different things that come up, right? And they're all gonna be you, and they're all gonna have, or if people post something like this, and they do hashtag Karina, if one of you were to take a photo that you were at this workshop, right? And then you were gonna post it on Instagram, blah, 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 had a great thing at this workshop. It would show people behind the scenes of what you're doing and how, community involvement and all this sort of stuff. And it would also, you could do a hashtag Karina Thurston and it would bring me up,
Right.
And then you could also do the handle, the Karina, at Karina Thurston Art, which would be a clickable thing as well to bring them to my profile. You can tag people like that, like you do with Twitter and Facebook and other stuff. So when you're promoting other people, like it's really a helpful sort of thing to just tag them and do that, or other organizations or businesses, or I do conservation organizations a lot, things like that. The Vermont Arts Council, things like that. So this page, the ways to increase engagement, we already talked about most of it. A lot of this, just be as visual as you possibly can be. It's more engaging, you get a lot more interest, post regularly, There are times that you can do little giveaways or things like that. So if you say, you have a lot of friends, but not a lot of them have gone to your business page on your Facebook, then you can say, I'm gonna do a giveaway of this, $20 print of my artwork. You could get it for free if you come to my business page, like it, and then comment underneath this, image. So if you share it, your name will go in 5 times, or however many times you want to do that. So that way you get more engagement from the people you already have, because they're going to see this, giveaway that you have there, and they're going to be commenting and sharing and doing all this stuff. And then you can also get, share it with the people that you have on your own page, or sometimes in other groups if it's allowed, and get more people to come over. They have to like your page before they can enter the, you say that they have to like your page in order to enter the contest. Like the page, like the image that you're doing, and then comment so that they did all that, right? And then if you need, sometimes you can make them share it, you have to share it in order to be entered. Sometimes you can say, if you share it, you get extra names
Yeah, you have
in
to
the
track
raffle.
all that. Keep track.
So you do, that's why I make people comment, because then it creates a list of their names right there that I can just kind of take, and then I take it, I paste it into just a blank, document, take out the comments, and then there's a place called like random.org or something where you can do a list randomizer, and they'll you add in the list, hit the random button, they'll randomize it, person at the top wins. Super easy. And then you just contact them, you get their address, and they get a free print, right? And I usually run the giveaway for like a week, so I give enough people time to engage with it and get that image really kind of rolling around Facebook or whatever site I'm doing it on, and that way it gives them time to enter. And I always say enter by midnight on October 10th.
And the goal of that is because, once again, the search engines and the big giants that are running the show behind the curtains are looking for shares,
Right.
likes, comments.
Yeah, you're gonna want, there's a bunch of reasons to do it. You get a really satisfied person who wins something, right? And then they're probably gonna take a picture of it when they win it and share about it later on. And say, look what I got for free, this super cool colored pencil artwork by, and they're gonna tag you and all of that. It's not always gonna happen, but lots of times that's gonna happen. And then you're gonna have people who didn't like your page before coming in to like it so they can be a part of the contest, right? And then you're gonna have more engagement because they have to in order to enter, and therefore your stuff is gonna show up more to more people
Right.
who would normally see it, and it brings them back to your page again. Another thing you can do with giveaways that I've only done it once so far, is that you can do a joint giveaway with another business or another organization. So, if there's an organization that has a similar cause as you do, like wildlife conservation, and they also sell something like scarves, this is very specific because this is what I did, then you can contact them and see if they're interested in doing a joint giveaway where they give away a scarf, you give away a small print, and they have to like both the pages and comment underneath the image. And that way you're dipping into their audience and they're dipping into your audience. And you know, if you choose the organization wisely, then it's going to be people who like your work, right, for the most part. So if it's, we did an elephant print and an elephant kind of scarf, and it went together, and both companies work towards conservation of some of our profits and other things, so it was a very good thing for us to do. And then we found the winner and sent off.
But did 100 people go through all those steps you asked, or 20, or 300?
It was, no, I mean, it was more, all those steps with that one, which was a little while ago, it was more like just under 100 or so.
That sounds great.
But for a week,
Yeah.
when you get 100 people, commenting and doing all this stuff, it was pretty good. And then, there's organizations that have like 350,000 followers, and if you only have a couple hundred, it's going to be hard to engage them in something like this. But if you really kind of work up, say, I have this product that I think your audience would really like, and it's not in competition with you, right? It's not a direct competition. It's something that can go well together. It's, and have a similar cause or vibe or whatever it is. Then you can you might be able to still get them to work with you on that. And, sometimes some of the things that have the most exposure don't do anything. Some of these pages have like 400,000 people who like them, but if you look at their page, you can tell they're not actually that engaged. Their images and stuff are only getting like 5 likes or something like that. And if they have 400,000 people, they should be getting a lot more than 5 likes on each thing.
Yeah. So that's not a
you
real
can
thing.
kind of see, even though they're posting a lot, they're not getting a lot of engagement from their people. So I only have 1,300 people. I get quite a bit of engagement most of the time.
You could buy fake followers and fake everything, and it's really
It's true.
very cheap.
I don't suggest
Super
it,
cheap.
but it is true.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that, but maybe you're interacting with.
No, I know, and
They claim to have
it's
all
hard
these
to.
people.
It is. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting though, and I really like partnerships like that and dipping into other audiences in any way you can, because it's just going to keep building your awareness. So, but otherwise, I would just say, don't focus. Don't get overwhelmed by social media. Focus on being genuinely you, which is what I say all the time. I think I talked about that quite a bit during the last workshop. But just be genuinely you and post things about you and your work and what you think that your audience will be interested in. All the stuff that we learned for the marketing workshop last time, it all applies here. Everything that I was talking about, that's, learning your audience, recommending instead of selling hard selling, it all is appropriate for this type of marketing too. It's no different. It's just the fact that this is a very specific platform, right? Very specific kind of marketing strategies, and you just have to do it more often. But it's also cheaper, and you can do some of it for free. So this last page is just some helpful resources.
Can you say more about Canva up at the
Yep.
top? That sounds interesting.
Canva is one of my favorites. Some of the other ones I don't actually use, but I hear about a lot. So you want to just do some research on those. But Canva I use all the time. And it's a site where you can upload your own images and things like that. And they have some images that you can use that are theirs as well. And they have a bunch of different formats and things like that. And they have like a homepage where it'll give you the formatting for a Facebook post, like the image size.
Oh.
They'll do the sizing for you, so you don't have to figure out the size
You mean like that
for the
banner
cover
thing on the top
photo.
that's really hard to figure out?
The sizing, yeah, they'll have a template for you
Yeah.
to do that. Your profile pictures, or and they'll have templates for all these different things. The Etsy banner that's really skinny at the top of the Etsy page. They have what's best for Twitter, what's best for Instagram, what's best for ebook covers. They do a bunch of different stuff. Presentations, letters, any of these different things. They'll have all these different templates. And then when you go into one, like a Facebook post size image, then or like we'll do the cover image for your Facebook because that one was really hard to figure out sizing.
Yeah.
And they'll give you a bunch of options that have been kind of pre-made for you where you can just upload your own images into their slots. It's a very, already done template. Or you can kind of take all that out and do whatever you want with your own images, right? You can play with it and create your own from scratch. Or they have just, they have different types of text that you can throw up there. They have all these different things that you can just sort of play with, almost like Photoshop, but not as much, right? It's really just moving images around. You can put frames on different images, things like that. And that's how I do a bunch of my social media images that aren't just an image of my work, So, the winner of the giveaway, I have this thing that says winner and it's all shiny and bright, when I announce a winner of something. The cover images for any of my stuff that I've done, it's just easier to go there, have some templates that you can play around with and they look really crisp and good and they're going to be the size that you want them to be without having to worry about what the size that is. So I really like it. It's free and some of it's free, I use the free part of it and then you can always upgrade to use some of their more complex stuff for some amount of money that I don't know. But I really like it. And also down here towards the bottom, I have a Facebook group called Art Business Unlimited, and it's just a group that I've created and curate with information for creatives that is just business related. And I do a bunch of research all the time, and I just throw out information there, and we talk about, what are your goals for the week? How do you, anybody need help with something? Like the community kind of just comes in and starts answering questions for each other. And it's just a place I wanted to kind of let you guys know about because it's a cool spot with, a couple hundred people so far. And it's
How do you
just been.
access that?
You can, on Facebook, you can look up Art Business Unlimited, and it should bring up the group of that. And then you just ask to join, and I will approve you.
The secret word is Swanton.
So, but it's been really good. And some weeks I'm not on there that much because I don't feel well or other things. And some weeks I'm on there a lot helping and managing stuff and talking with people. So, and I always post about workshops and stuff like this for anybody who happens to be local. Some people on there are not local and they're from all over, but people who have read my books and stuff and reached out, things like that. But yeah, so that's pretty much, I have no idea what time it is. We probably went over, but okay. But yeah, I want to thank the Mighty Fine Restaurant for hosting and Swanton Arts Council for hosting and having me come up and do this. So, yeah, and Jerry's Artorama is our sponsor. So
Thank you, Jerry.
yeah, so they've been very, very helpful with getting things put together. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much.